Hey guys, welcome into another episode of 410 Sports Talk Draft Edition. I'm James Haskell. This is my co-host Glenn Martin, and we are accompanied by Hanz Picked. Both Danny and Craig Hanzelka are current draft experts, and especially when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens. So in this video, we're going to dig into the interior offensive linemen, the prospects that are in the draft, where we think the Ravens are going with that position, all of the above. Because as you know, I think we should take Cesar Ruiz early in the draft with a 28th overall pick. But anyway, we'll get into that later and see what my grade is on that.
Already starting, man.
That's all right. I'm already getting my plugs in. But that's where we're going to start. So we're going to let Glenn fire away and put these guys' takes to the test here.
Yeah, no, we'll just start there then, since you got us in that right direction as it is. Jimmy has, at number 28, has mocked Cesar Ruiz from Michigan, the center, to the Ravens. And I, in the second round, have Lloyd Cushenberry out of LSU, the center. So, Craig, if you could quickly break down those two guys and settle the score. Who fits better, and who do you think is a more realistic shot at being there at those positions or at those spots?
To be honest, I think both those guys could be there. Ruiz is, I think, the best interior offensive line. He shows strong hands, great punches, really great at finding defenders on the second level. His power, balance, and even nimbleness for his size of 6'3" and 307 is really good. His arm length 33, so it's pretty decent, and his adjusted spark score is a .84, so he's like 84% more athletic than most of the guards that have came out in the draft. So he's everything you want in a prototypical guard. Sometimes he can lose a little bit technique, and sometimes he has awareness concerns when he gets to the second level. But I think overall, Ruiz is a fantastic fit for the Ravens. He's someone that really could take Yonda's spot. He could really maul people when he gets their hands on him. He has a story that I've talked about with a few friends. He lost his dad when he was 8. His dad was helping someone who had a flat tire, and his dad got hit by a car. So it was really tragic and tough. He also broke his wrist a year later, but then he found football after that and really stuck with him ever since. And he said that's the thing that really helped him get out of depression when he was that young. So football's his calling. That's what he does all the time. So I love Ruiz. I think he's a fantastic fit. I think he could go to any team and do well. As far as Lloyd Cushenberry, I've liked him a lot. He's a little bit smaller than Ruiz. Actually, no, he's put on some weight. So he's actually about the same size, 6'3", 310, big hands, 10.5 inches, 34-inch arms. So he has really long arms for an interior offensive lineman. Usually 34-inch arms are for tackles, so you can really get a hold of those quick, twitchy edge defenders. But Cushenberry has long arms. He has really good power in his pass blocking. He can really sit into a squat. And if you watch the Senior Bowl, he went up against guys like Kinlaw, Davidson, and he also went up against a few other guys that are really good. And he sat in his squat, and you could not move him off his spot. I really like him in the second round. I don't think he's as powerful mauling people going forward as much as Ruiz, but he's got a different power. He's got a balanced power that you're not going to knock him off his edge, and that's something that he does really well. So I really like both of them as fits for us at that spot.
And do you feel that either is a reach or either is in doubt of being there at either one of those positions?
I really think both of those are perfect spots for both, because I think Ruiz, I think it's a little bit of a reach to get him in the first round, because I don't think he's that. I mean, he's great, but he's not a first round talent. But at the same time, when there's not much, you got to reach for when it's there, because Ruiz is not going to be there anywhere. He's going to go early second, if not late first. So I guess the board says that's where he's getting valued, so he should get picked there.
Your value is what somebody's willing to pay, right?
Exactly, and that's what it is. Because is he a typical first rounder? No, he's a little bit less. But at the same time, you're not going to get anything else like him in this draft. So if you want him, that's where you got to get him. Cushenberry, I think there's a few people that are near his talent level, but I think he's a great pick there just because he performed in the Senior Bowl against really good people, and I think that's a great fit for him too. And his arms just really pushed him above some of the other second-round prospects.
Well, Danny, let me ask you this. There's another guy that, we keep mentioning arm length and how valuable that can be for an offensive lineman. There's another guy I think they could get on day 2 or possibly, I would say day 2 would probably be your safest bet, who also has extremely long arms, and that's John Simpson out of Clemson, another guard I really like. And the thing I like about him is, that arm length to have 34 reps on the bench press, to me is impressive. He's 6'4", 320, got over 11-inch hands, so just a big, strong guy. What are your thoughts on John Simpson, and how do you think he would be as a day 2 pick for the Ravens?
Yeah, I think John Simpson, I think him and like 5 other guys are about the same level right now. But this thing that separates him is that arms, right, and that length. And his potential is just so much higher than anyone else in this draft to me. I could totally see him as a day 2 just because he could be a Pro Bowl guard if he's able to put the work in and get some weight and is able to understand the scheme well. Because if he reaches that full potential, that dude is a stud, and he would be a great pickup for the Ravens or for anybody else in the league.
Is there any other guards you look at in the middle of the rounds that you see could be a potential fit and a guy that can also come in and play day 1?
Yeah, because just to add to that, I mean, you got to think about what we want to do is what I want the Ravens to do really quickly here, because I'm still upset about some people's opinions on certain interior linemen that we have. We want to my opinion, we want to upgrade at center. Obviously, we want to place Yonda. And look, Bozeman is not he's not a Pro Bowler. Like, he's a fringe starter to me. I would love to be able to get an upgrade, or at least give somebody the opportunity to compete with him as well, right? So to Glenn's point, to that question exactly, I mean, that's really what we're looking to do.
Are you looking for more players, Jimmy? Was there a question in there somewhere?
My question was my statement was buffering Glenn's question. Sorry.
Yeah. Middle round guys that you could see as a plug-and-play guy.
So another one who I have really high, and I keep waiting for him to rise. I keep waiting for everyone to say, oh, this guy, he's the best guard in the draft, and that's Tyler Biadasz. I keep talking about him. He has the agility and the speed to go be a lead blocker. He has the brute strength to hike the ball out of the center position and then pancake a guy straight to the floor. And I keep looking at lists every week, and I'm like, all right, this is the week he's going to be a top 3 guard. He's going to be projected in the second round. And they keep saying 5th round, 6th round, 4th round. And he is a guy that I think he can do it all. He's very good at everything. Another guy that I really like is Kevin Dotson out of Louis Lafayette. He's a big guard, played at a smaller school, but he was dominant at that school. Let me see if I can get his size. This guy is 6'4", 310. He can put on some weight, but he's got the agility. He's got what the Ravens are looking for, and he's got that nasty streak where he just wants to put guys on the ground.
And Danny, you mentioned that he's got what the Ravens look for. Craig, if you could kind of let our viewers know, what exactly do you think the Ravens are looking for when they're looking at an interior offensive lineman?
So what the Ravens have done since Lamar, and they did it a little bit before when Gary Kubiak was here, they're moving towards they're actually in a zone blocking scheme. In a power run scheme, when you talk about that, that's the teams where you just have big offensive linemen and you try to maul the person, your responsibility, and just maul that person and get them out of the way by any means necessary. I think for our zone blocking scheme, what they're trying to do is get people in the right area. So, for instance, if we had Cushenberry and he was doing some type of pull as a guard, or let's say he was a center, if he was a guard, he's pulling over and he's going to this certain area. When he goes to that area, what he's trying to do is find anybody in that area, and he's trying to redirect them so he can let the running back or the quarterback kind of decide which way they want to go. His job is not to maul the person. His job is not to absolutely blow up. If he can, that's great, but his job is to at least redirect them to open up those holes. So I think, like I said, I really like Cushenberry because the way he can sit for pass protection, but he also can go out and find people because he's just aware at the second level and stuff like that.
So back to what you were saying, Danny, about some middle round guys. Are you convinced that the guys that you mentioned are day 1, come in and compete for a starting job and would be an upgrade from what we have?
Dotson could be, because he is high potential, but he played at a small school. So judging by that, it's hard to tell sometimes because he was dominant there. And if you look at his tape, you say, oh, my gosh, that guy could start right now. But then you think about that level of competition. Be-A-Dish is a guy I think could come in and he would start every single game this season because he's dominant, and he's a Wisconsin lineman, and everyone knows how great the Wisconsin linemen are coached. You think about
that's true. And we've had success with those guys as well in the past. So this is my follow-up to that. With the middle round being a potential spot for linemen, and then, Glenn and I both have indicated in the first and second round in our mocks, we've both taken interior offensive linemen. How likely is it, percentage-wise, that we're gonna come away with more than one offensive lineman before, say, the sixth round? So like rounds 1 through 5, how many swings are we taking at O-line? Interior, obviously, because we have the 2 tackles already in place.
I mean, you think about how many picks they have. I'd say 40% chance.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say 30-40% because you need them.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, when you guys look at a guy like Bozeman, it looks like to me Jimmy's ready to upgrade there. But Craig, what do you think when you watch Bozeman play?
First off, I want to say I love Bradley Bozeman. I'm a teacher at Pikesville Middle School, and he came and did a meet and greet with my students, and I thought he was fantastic, him and his wife.
You got to be honest. You got to be honest.
I love you. No, Bozeman has really good size. Bozeman does a lot of things right. He was a rookie. Obviously, we drafted him for a reason. We liked him. He was standing when he was – or he did a good job when he was in there. So I would like to give him another chance. I would like, as Jimmy said, to give him some competition. And there's some people like there's a Robert Hunt who started off as a tackle because he's 6'5", pretty tall for a tackle. But if he moves the guard, 6'5", 323, has 10 3/4-inch hands. He has almost 34-inch arms. He hits all the spots. He's really powerful. He's a little bit tight, but if he was okay, if he went to the combine and said he was okay with going to guard, I think he could be someone that you could nab in the middle rounds and really compete for one of those spots. Damian Lewis from LSU. His Senior Bowl tape kind of questioned me a little bit because he got beat by some guys pretty handily like Kinlaw, but Kinlaw's a beast. But his athletic profile is adjusted spark scores of 0.85, so 85% better, 6 foot 2.5, 327. I think if you get him in here, and I know LSU has good coaching, but I think with the Ravens O-line coach, you get someone that athletic in here. And even though they're not as polished as maybe a Cushionberry, that maybe you could turn them into something nice and really compete with Bozeman.
Well, let's say it's a worst-case scenario. The Ravens come away with just how the board falls. They come away with nobody from the interior offensive line. They're forced to either look for a veteran to be cut or look from within to fill up that spot. So either one, whoever feels more comfortable. When you look at Ben Powers from last year, is there anything about Ben Powers that makes you think, you know what, maybe he could take on that right guard job from Yonda and do a serviceable job?
You want it, Danny?
Sure. So you see so little of Ben Powers, but the only thing I really got from him last year that I really liked that would really point me in that direction was when he had that press conference in preseason last year, and they said, what's your favorite thing about blocking an O-line? And he was like, I like looking across. Do you remember it, Craig? I like looking across at the other person and knowing I'm going to dominate them. It was
I like that attitude.
I love the attitude, man. That nasty attitude where you just want to take the guy's soul from him. Like, every great lineman has that, and I barely ever saw him on the field. So based off that, that's really the only thing I could say.
No, what about coming out of school, Craig? When you saw him coming out of school, what was your take on him?
Before that, I want to say a quick thing. The thing that what Danny said reminds me of Ryan Jensen. And I absolutely loved Ryan Jensen. Ryan Jensen was one sick SOB. When that who was it? The guy that late tackled Flacco.
Alonzo.
Yeah, Keith Alonzo. And Jensen went over there and just like power slammed the dude. We need someone in there that's just, you know what, Lamar's my guy, and I'm going to wreck you if you treat him poorly. And if Ben Powers has that, I think I do remember him saying that. I don't remember the words, Danny, but, I mean, give Ben Powers, give Bozeman a chance. They were drafted. They weren't just found in a scrap pile. They're obviously good. Could they be better? Yes, but, I mean, we can give them time. I definitely think drafting and trying to stock up more there to see who really steps up would be a great idea.
I want to say this. I said this to Glenn when we did our first 5 picks, the first time we did our mock. I read this quote that in the description of Cesar Ruiz, it said, I quote, is tenacious from start to finish. So just saying, if that's the type of guy.
I would not be upset if they come away with Ruiz in the first. It's just, to me, what if Skur is healthy? I mean, it's just not – if he's healthy, he's serviceable, and then Makari as his backup, I feel like we could get by there. Now, I wouldn't mind upgrading in the interior, but to me, guard might be the more pressing need. I mean, what do you guys look at as the more pressing need when you look at the offense? Danny, I guess we'll start with you. When you look at the offensive line, is it center or guard?
I would say guard because you're missing Yanda. I mean, that's a big hole to fill. And I don't know there's anyone on the roster right now they feel comfortable putting out there for 16 games and saying whatever happens, we're good, we're okay to stick with him.
Yeah. For me, the center, when I think about a great center and I think about a great guard, I think about like Matt Burke and Yanda. I think Matt Burke is going to be your field general for the line. He's going to be making a lot of the calls, pointing out shifts and stuff like that to his line. And I think it's easier to learn the X's and O's when you've been doing it for so long. But there's only so many people that are as athletic enough to be a guard, to pull out there and to block those super athletic linebackers that weigh 40 pounds less than them and are like twice as fast as them. I think guard's usually a harder spot to fill, and that's why the guards get paid more than centers usually.
So, but say we did that, right? And Skur is healthy. What's wrong with putting Ruiz over at guard? I mean, he played guard initially and then was moved over to center. Do you know what I mean? So there could be some value there.
I would put Ruiz at guard in a second. Right. I think Ruiz is power, and you just let him manhandle people right there because you got to think about it. When the center hikes the ball, he's already a few seconds behind. So if Ruiz is that powerful, I'm going to put the person that is smart enough to be center. You obviously don't want to put someone there who can't handle it, but someone who's good enough at center, and I'm going to put my real star at guard to blow up people. Because we know Yanda played tackle, guard. Did he play center a little bit too?
Didn't he for a couple spots do center too?
Because he's that smart, but like he's so freaking athletic and safe that you put him at guard and you know his job was done. But that's why I think guard's more valuable, and I think the financial contracts show the same.
Well, Glenn, hopefully we'll take Ruiz and then we'll take your boy in the second round.
Oh, that would be great. Just lock them both up, no doubt. Right. Now, one more question. Danny, is there anybody that you look at when you were looking at the tape that you say, wow, this guy's going to be a late-round pick, but if he could just develop, one part of his game or, put on some weight or something like that, he could end up turning out to be a pretty good NFL starter?
Yeah, so a guy I really like is Jake Hanson out of Oregon. He's a high motor guy. He's very athletic for his size. He's 6'4", 303. He's a guy that just loves contact. He'll go block a guy, push him out of the way. If someone still has the ball, if the receiver has the ball, he'll run over and try to get another block if he can get the time in. And he's a guy, he's just a little undersized. If he can just put on the weight, he is a good blocker. He has good position. He moves his feet well. I said he's got a high motor, which I love from an O-lineman. And that's a big guy that I would love to come out of this draft with. Another guy is Logan Stenberg out of Kentucky, who's 6'6", 317. He's a big power blocker. But his only thing is he's got to be a little quicker on his feet. He's got to be a little bit faster if he can get a little more athletic. I saw this dude, he had a blocker, and there was a late rusher from the linebacker position coming in. And he was blocking his guy, and he saw the guy coming in. He sticks out his big claw and stops the guy in his path and blocks two guys at once for a couple seconds while the quarterback gets the ball out. It's crazy. It's crazy to see.
Well, I like your Hanson one. I mean, they in the Rose Bowl, he along with that whole offensive line just absolutely destroyed our defensive line. For I'm referring to the University of Utah, the Utes there in that Rose Bowl game, which was a big deal, big game, high stakes. We were supposed to win that game, had one of the best defenses in the country. Hanson, I really, really like. That's a really good value pick. I think that, he just needs to hang out with Orlando Brown a little bit and figure out what he's doing to put on the weight, and, we should be good.
He's another. He took out Kinlaw too. In one film I watched, it was him and Kinlaw, and he dominated Kinlaw. It was.
I like that one. I like that one a lot. That's
a good one, Danny. I like that a lot. Well, there's a few people that I've been seeing drafted higher in mock drafts that I'm a little bit curious about. The three guys are going to be Matt Hennessy, Ben Bredesen from Michigan, and then Nick Harris. All those guys, like when I watch them, they do a lot of things right, but they have some really big question marks as far as their length. Matt Hennessy has really small hands. They're 9.5-inch hands, so they're like the size of my hand, which is very concerning for a lineman because when you're a lineman, a lot of linemen like to get their hands in there and grab because that's what smart linemen do, and they get away with it. But when your hands are that small, it's a lot harder to grab cloth and keep on it when you have someone like Ebenezer ripping you down. Another person, like I said, is Ben Bredesen from Michigan. His arm length is 31 inches, and that's like the cutoff used to be 32 inches for arms, and they've kind of lowered it to about 31. So his arms are like the shortest that most people would think would be draftable because his arms are so short. And for a guard, that's important because when you get your arms out there, you really need to connect with the D lineman or you're not going to be able to do anything. Linemen don't block with their shoulders. They use their body and their arms, and they get in front of the guy. But if your arms can't reach the guy and the guy's arms are 3 inches longer, that's bad. And that's why Cushionberry is so valuable with 34-inch arms. And Nick Harris, he's also 6'1", and his hands are under 10 inches too. But all three of them did well, but there are just some question marks that are pretty big that they're going to have to overcome.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I guess all these guys are going to have, especially when you're looking at the mid to late rounds, they're all going to have some warts, if you will. But let me ask you guys this. How hard is it? Because when I'm looking at these lists and these mocks, a couple schools jump out at you of having pretty much almost their entire offensive line as a draftable prospect, and that's Michigan and LSU. So how much do you have to take into account when you're looking at Ruiz or a Bredesen or any of these guys, Cushionberry and all them, when you're playing, so when you're surrounded by a lot of talent around you, how hard is it to kind of single out that one guy? Is he really, that great, or is he just is he just a part of a cog, or he's a cog in the machine? How hard is it to evaluate those guys?
Yeah, dude, that's rough. That's really rough because, you look at Damian Lewis and Lloyd Cushionberry. I almost had them as my 2 and 3, and I had to move Damian Lewis down. And I was like, they are so close to each other, and a lot of time they're helping each other out, and you don't know who's more responsible or who's making a call to do that. And another one, Craig talked about earlier, it was Robert Hunt. Him and Kevin Dotson are on the same team. They both play on a lower level team. So is it because Hunt is good and he's making Dotson look good and Dotson is just bigger and that's why my eye was drawn to him? Or is Dotson just that overpowering and then Hunt is just better on the outside? It's tough. It's real tough. I don't enjoy it.
There's two things that I want to say about this point in particular. If you have a lineman, like Danny was saying, if someone's playing offensive line versus a D lineman and then someone's going over to help and chip, that's already like an advanced technique. You'll see lower level guys just worry about their person because they don't have the skill to be able to worry about their person and then pop over, help somebody else and get back to this. So that's a pretty great technique. So if they're at that level, that's a plus in my book, even if they're getting help or giving someone help. I will also say it is really hard from the angles that you see, unless you have all 22. It's kind of hard to see all the time who's making the block and who's missing the play or missing the assignments and stuff like that. So sometimes I personally think O-line's super hard to evaluate. Obviously, we all try to do our best and we try to read up and watch as much film, but it's just really hard. But I think when multiple prospects are coming from a school, that just shows good coaching. And I think good coaching is always going to be a plus, even if it hides some of his flaws. That's good because it's probably going to hide his flaws at the next level too because he already knows a thing or two more. That's like asking should you down someone for being a polished wide receiver? No, because they know routes and they're hiding their inefficiencies with speed or whatever and getting open either way. I think it's a plus.
Yeah, that's a good point. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, do you have any other questions, Jimbo?
No, I'm good to go. I'm excited. And now I'm really hoping that we double up and take both of them. Just throw them up there, man. Plug them in. Take Ruiz, take Cushionberry, and let's run the ball.
I would say the good thing about our team is with Lamar Jackson, it causes so much misdirection that I think it makes the job easier for the linemen. So as long as they're doing their assignments somewhat, I'm pretty sure Lamar and Mark Ingram can kind of find their way to make it a positive play.
That's absolutely true. This is the last thing I will say, though. I've said this before, that interior defensive line of Tennessee got the best of us that game, and I think it really exposed us. I think we depended on Lamar too much, and he was trying to do too much. I know Mark was hurt in that game, but I do feel like there was a little bit of Lamar on his own trying to do too much because he's young, and I get it. But I also think that Macari ended up on the ground a little too much, I'd like to upgrade there. So anyway, but I understand what you're saying. I just don't want to rest on our laurels and say, well, we got Lamar, so we can like duct tape it. You know what I mean? That's all.
Yeah, and there's no way you're going to upgrade one position on that offensive line. We know for sure, and that's because the guy behind you peeking over your shoulder, Jimbo, it is not going to be replaced easily, no matter who they get. So, yeah, they might be able to upgrade left guard and center, but there's no way they're upgrading at right guard in this draft.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, well, thanks, Craig and Danny from Hanz Picked. We really appreciate you guys coming on and sharing your expertise with us and our listeners. And to you all out there, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and hit the notification bell so you get our most up-to-date videos. And we'll be back. We're going to be doing a running back position breakdown with these guys next. So keep watching, and we'll keep putting out videos. See you.